Hey everybody, welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor, brought to you by his book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal. You can get that at Amazon.com or check out his website, Testosteronology. I don't know if you can see that in the background. It's the word testosterone, drop the E off the end, put O-L-O-G-Y. That is a branch of medicine specifically dedicated to men that Dr. O'Connor has pioneered. He is the world's first testosteronologist. He is training other physicians to become testosteronologists, which is a good thing for us men because, you know, there's only so much Dr. Thomas to go around, right? So how are you today? Joining us from Hartford, Connecticut, Tom.
Yes, still up here. We moved the office to Essex, Connecticut, everyone, and we're down there and everything is fully digital. I'm cranked out like there's no tomorrow because everyone's doing consults with me digitally. So with Zoom, mainly Zoom platform, and just thank you everyone so much for trusting me. There's so many cool and amazing cases when guys are everything's obviously related to low testosterone or steroid related medical issues. And oh God, Ron, it's just such a crazy time.
Well, I mean, this is I saw a chance. You did a video recently, April 7th. You released it called Roid Rage, and
Mm.
we've touched on this so many times, but I realize we never have done an entire episode talking about it and trying to either give it validation or debunk it. Is this a real thing? And that's what I want to get into because I've used the term myself. I've felt like at times I probably suffered from it myself, or been an example of roid rage, mostly when I was dieting for shows. But you went into it. You looked into what kind of research there has been done, and there hasn't been any really definitive research. Tell me real briefly about the types of research that have been done and why they may or may not be applicable to what we're even discussing here.
So it's emotion. This is an emotional versus looking at kidney disease or heart disease with steroids or without steroids, where something's tangible, Ron, right? You could measure heart disease risk factors, blood pressure, cholesterol. If someone has a heart attack, you could look at that. So this is something I always say that I work from the chin down, right? I'm an internal medicine doctor, so I work in the internal medicine, so heart, liver, kidney. So, but this is central nervous system. This is the chin up. So if you look at psychological studies, Ron, they're all based on tools developed with questioning.
Hmm.
How do you feel? Are you angry? Scale from 1 to 10. Are you angry? Are you depressed? Do you have anecdote? When you diagnose someone with a mood disorder, and I talk to so many guys that are, people are having acute bouts of depression and even worse. And because they're sitting at home and they don't want to go to the ER. I talked to a doctor yesterday who's breaking down
Hmm.
because he's in the ER. He's an ER chief,
Oh wow.
and he trusts me with, he's on TRT, and he trusted me with his questions, and he did like an emergency consult. And I'm saying, Doc, man, you gotta see a psychiatrist. No, I don't want to. I know they're going to give me some antidepressants. I mean, you're a doctor, sir. I mean,
Hmm.
I love this guy, but so there's so much pressure right now, and psychiatrically, going back to the roid rage, it's very you can't touch it, Ron, right? So in these studies, they're looking at mainly men that have been incarcerated. So I want to sign up for the roid rage study. So
Yeah.
so if you look at the studies, Ron, they're observational studies, and there's some of them very well done, and they're really more discussions, and they're looking at men that have been incarcerated
Hmm.
and have they used different substances. This is not perfect, because a lot of that is teased out with recreational drugs. So if a guy's incarcerated for a violent crime, someone thought of, well, how many of these guys are on drugs?
Yeah.
Of that drug profile, are there performance enhancing drugs? Bottom line, Ron, is I presented my data on that, and then we just have to use common sense, Ron, right?
Yeah.
Because, trend, and Ron, look at the comments, guys. Look at the comments on these videos I'm making. The comments are better than the video. Thank you very much.
Just, I should have said Anabolic Doc is the name of the channel, guys. Anabolic Doc. That's where you can find the original video that we're referencing here. Go ahead. Sorry.
So we're approaching 100,000 subscribers in 1 year. So we're getting there, man. There's no advertise. It's not monetized.
Hmm.
So that's just completely clean and open. There's no search engine stuff going on with YouTube. It's
Yeah.
free and clean, and I love that. And men are openly commenting. All these video comments, Ron, are really studies upon themselves because these are men that are, look at the comments. There are hundreds. And even one of my videos is going to hit 800,000 views. And there's 1,700 or I think or 2,700 comments. You
Goodness.
could you could do a study and those are men that are openly talking. Yes, I took tren and I was, really angry and I was angry to my coworkers. And so the studies, Ron, are observational and they're psychological, discussing tools of, are you angry? Were you incarcerated? What other drugs were involved? None of these studies, Ron, are ever going to be definitive. Never. They can't be.
I mean, I could argue that the comments on your video are a better accurate sample of people using steroids in their emotional states that they felt as a result of certain steroids than, taking guys that are already incarcerated for a violent offense. That's a very, very skewed sample. I know a lot of guys who have had roid rage. I'm sure I've seen it. Maybe one or two of them have even been arrested for things like, battery or domestic abuse or
Yeah.
whatever, assault. But most of them never catch the attention of the law. It's just they're jerks. They're angry people that.
It's an asshole. It's an asshole on steroids. I mean, or if you are, we all can be assholes, Ron, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we all can be snappy, and it's called your coping skills and it's your fuse. And people in the end, I think will all agree, us guys that are involved with the steroid world. And it's interesting in these studies, Ron, look at the authors. I mean, and I'm not putting the authors down, but these authors, how many of them have taken steroids or work with steroid users regularly? I would assume it's close to 0%. So, but they're interested in for what sake they are interested, and they're making, in the end they go into the theory of it's testosterone and aggression, and it falls apart, Ron, because most men, Ron, and you and I both know this, 90 something percent of men on testosterone, not to mention humongous doses that the doctors, I have to put jaw straps. I'm working with a lot of researchers now and a lot of doctors. I work all day long. Today I'm doing another interview with some other big doctor somewhere. And I have to FedEx jaw straps before we do our talk.
Why is that?
So,
Is it jaw dropping?
oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Ron, I lost the link there.
No, I can see it. I can
Okay.
still see it.
But,
We're good.
but so I have to send out jaw straps. Did you hear that? I
Yeah.
mean, these guys, these doctors, when they see 3,000 on a testosterone or they have no idea.
Ah,
So most men, Ron, on testosterone are pretty cool.
right. You talked about, we keep saying an asshole on steroids and it becomes an asshole becomes a bigger asshole on steroids. Just like I've always said, take alcohol as try to use that as an analogy. If somebody's a mild-mannered person who's never looking for trouble, never starts trouble, avoids confrontations and things like that, even if they're super drunk, they're not going to be looking for any kind of a beef with anybody.
For the
But you
most
see,
part.
for the most part, yeah, I'm sure there are people who have like a split personality when they're drunk.
Flip
There are,
switch. Yeah.
but there are also people who are kind of edgy and hostile to begin with. And when those people get drunk, you don't want to be anywhere near them because you look at them wrong and they'll want to break your jaw.
100%.
So steroids act on the CNS. That's well established. Has
Yeah.
there ever been any evidence as far as the aggression that it creates or certain types of steroids being more prone to increase a man's aggression?
That is Ron. And in my review in that, I looked at that they did not differentiate the different steroids, not to, the DHT, NOR19 versus the testosterone. So it's, and I thought that would have been great to do because Ron, what guy, one of us in the club here, is going to say Trent, and look at the comments. So, Test, Equipoise, Anavar, D-ball, even all this basics, even big doses. There definitely can be some roid rage out there, but they're just snappy and, like you said, personality based and situational based. If they're losing a job, or they come home and their wife is cheating, or something bad. I mean, there's all situational things that put you over the edge. But if you look at trend, let's just go into trend. I mean, there's no question that so many guys will say, when I was on trend, I was really irritable and I was not a good guy.
Yeah. And I mean, you did a whole video on halotestin because it was the fighter's drug of choice, which they would intentionally take halotestin, sometimes just right before. There goes the dog. Right before a big fight, because they wanted to really heighten their sense of aggression and become that beast in the ring or the octagon or wherever they were going to be fighting. So halotestin had such a reputation for that these combat athletes would seek it out and intentionally use it as a performance aid to heighten aggression. Are there other steroids that have been known to do that? I can't recall.
You know what? I watched a movie on topic here the other night called Jacob's Ladder.
Oh yeah.
Remember that, right? I know you're
Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a amazing movie with just so well done, and of course, some reality of Vietnamish, horrors, and the government gave these guys these super aggressive drug to make them be more aggressive because they were worrying that the warriors were hiding out and they weren't aggressive enough.
Yeah.
And they tore each other apart, right? That was they destroyed each other. Right. They just killed each other and they tore each other apart. And that was the guy was dying and he was going through, the latter steps. So, if you think about anabolic steroids, and we know that, some warriors use it because they just feel better and they're just more prepared. Policemen may use it because they just feel that they have to fight and they just want to be prepared and stronger. Right. And are they more roid ragey? And I've heard this from many, many great policemen. Do they pull the gun out or the taser out? And the answer is absolutely no. Because from the brain, here's what they tell me, from the brain to the hand, there's a long way, Doc. And you think about it, and from the brain to the mouth, some people say things that are, and this is, not Tourette's syndrome, but I mean, but there's even on steroids, men have judgment to zip it and not to pull out the gun. Think about it. And now, because you don't hear about, thank God, you don't hear about law enforcement, doing excessive force and because they're on steroids. Now, we're not going to go into the politics on that. My guess is the guys that are doing the excessive force stuff, they're skinny ass guys. They're not on steroids anyway. Right?
When you see, they show them on the news, and usually some guy who looks like he couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag.
Correct. Or just some regular guy, some regular cop, and these guys do have to fight for a living. You and I know that. And and who doesn't want to just go up to that car, they told me, and said, Doc, when you go up to that car in 95, I don't care if it's in Florida, up in Massachusetts, you go on that, 2, 3 in the morning, you're sitting, that car's idling, and that car's all closed up, and that window's not coming down, and your heart rate's going, and you're going to get into something. You don't know who's in that car and what they have to lose.
Right.
And that you're going to maybe get into that with this person and, try to apprehend them because, it's what you have to do. And you want to be fucking jacked up, doctor.
Yeah. I mean, correctional officers too, I think, are in a very, very similar situation.
Ron, even more. And again, I love you guys. I love these guys because there's some bad apples everywhere, Ron. There's some bad apples, but these guys decide to come on, Ron, you know these guys as much as I do. These guys say, I want to be a law enforcement guy. Why? Because they're like big brothers. As children, they're big daddies. They're just big brothers. They just like to do it. And they like to be in control. But apart from the very bad guys, Ron, there's some very bad people out in this world. But, how many guys are on steroids and they don't exert excessively aggressive behavior? I will put my foot right, Ron? I will put my hand right down. There's no way. And, who is that? Remember Greg Titus? Greg Titus?
Oh, Craig Titus. Yes.
So I think he's in jail. He killed someone or they murdered.
Correct.
Someone commented on that video or somewhere else, or I get so many emails about, hey, with him. And I don't know, he probably just was a bad cat anyway. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I got to stop you right there, doctor, because I knew Craig and I saw Craig a couple months before the murder. He had definitely not been on steroids for some time. He was almost the size of a regular gym guy. He'd
Wow.
lost tons of muscle. He was addicted to, I don't know, meth, whatever he was addicted to. That was his drug of choice. And I
Wow.
would I would bet you anything that was much more of a contributing factor than steroids that he had probably ceased using for months and months. Just
And
by the
there it
look of
is.
him, I'd say he had been off drugs for a good 6 months, steroids, I mean, and heavily into recreational drugs at the time of that murder. But that's the thing is, you can't just say steroids made somebody do commit a violent act or be a roid rage because, like you said, if you want to prove causation, there's so many factors. You look at a past history of abuse, physical, emotional abuse is a huge contributing factor toward anyone becoming violent and hostile. You look at their lifestyle and their situation. Like we have this quarantine now. You have a lot of men, steroids or no steroids, locked up with their families. They're home with their kids all day. They got to try to make these kids do their schoolwork on a computer. Maybe they're trying to still work at home too, or worse, they're out of work and the bills are piling up, and their wife is nagging them. I mean, it's a
Huh.
recipe for domestic violence disaster.
We were talking, and so in the studies, Ron, yes, and I mentioned that the background for emotional and physical abuse in men, you are 100% on board. Line that moon up with drug addiction and meth and coke, we're done.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you talk to policemen, they'll tell you when they apprehend someone who's on meth,
Mm-hmm.
they're in it. I mean, that's a very aggressive person.
Yeah.
So you and all these studies have shown that there's co-mingled drugs, every single one. So a study just on guys taking steroids, I would bet anecdotally from my experience of thousands of men that they're actually in a better mood.
Mm.
I just because I asked them, hey man, you're on all this stuff right now. You're sitting right in front of me in the chair, brother, or right now we're on Zoom. How do you feel? It's apart from the sexual stuff that's the roller coaster of sexual stuff is why they really come to me, I guess, and they worry about their heart and their kidneys. In the end, they say, I feel, doc, it just feel great. And going to the gym and training hard, this is euphoric, doctor. This is
Yeah.
a high. So, and then apart from the other aspects in life, like you said, the money and the business and the personal, those are so important. But the steroids make men feel euphoric.
Yeah.
Ron,
Yeah.
you know it's true.
I have to say that of all the guys I know, and myself included, if we've ever had examples of roid rage, I would say I'm talking about competitors because most of the people I know competed or still compete. It's the dieting. It's whenever you put a guy on a low carb diet for 8, 12, 16 weeks, he's going to be miserable anyway. He's going to be short fused, short tempered anyway. And that's whether he's a natural, but I've seen it with natural guys too. Anybody who's dieting and deprived, and it's their sleep gets messed up. They become constantly on edge and like a chip on their shoulder where anything will set them off. Then contest prep tends to have these drugs like halotestin, trenbolone. You put those two things together, and man,
Uh,
I remember screaming at my son when he was very small because I had a brand new sports car and he got donuts all over the back seat. And immediately I regretted it, but I'm like, oh my God, I just screamed at my 2-year-old son. He's crying his eyes out because there's some donut crumbs in my leather seats that I could have vacuumed him out. It's not a
so
big
you
deal.
eat those donuts, son.
Yeah, I mean, they were good donuts, but still,
Right. See,
Dunkin'
so
Donuts.
it's multifaceted. But look, and apart from this, for the experts out there and doctors and whoever else, of course it's going to potentially it's going to potentially drag out, bring out some aggression in someone. It's all about fuse. It's about coping skills. That's what I learned from these doctors and the take home. It's the fuse. Your fuse. See that? You got out of the car. Your fuse was short. Your threshold was short. You looked in the back, oh, and normally you'd be like, come on,
Yeah.
kid. Come on, kid. Or you'd go like, kid, did you like that donut? Pick it up, please.
Yeah.
Like a regular dad. Or you just blow it off completely, right? Who cares?
Yeah.
So, but the fuse is short, so you had no coping skills. It is true. So does it do it? And it's gonna come down. to the individual person. And then you're right. So put the straws on the back, the dieting, maybe some of the other drugs. But I think in the end, tren, there's something about that drug tren, you know, what you have to laugh, Ron, because you know it's right. Tren is just like, ooh, man, that just makes, there's no free lunch. Like, that's the strongest steroid, arguably. I know there's other ones, guys, you know, but if you want to get hard and big and strong, and not to mention you wreck your kidneys, I'm making a couple of videos. I'm trying to do like 2 or 3 videos, you know, in a period, because I'm so bunched up, and my media guys like, come on, we're getting backed up. So I'm going to do a video again, another review of kidney disease, because I'm seeing a lot more early of it. Early guys, they have the focal segmental early, and they're peeing protein, and their kidneys are just getting damaged. So I'm going to reach out and do a really beautiful presentation with data and with what I see. So like, if you know that, and one drug that I see that definitely is involved there is tren. And it's not because when you pee you see dark color because there's a dye in tren and a parabolin or something. I don't know about that, and I'll tap out on that. I'm not a biochemist, and I don't know. If you're peeing and you see dark color, it actually is not dark. It's concentrated. It's dark yellow because you're dehydrated. That versus, do you have different a degree in rhabdomyolysis? You know, or is that blood? Is that hematuria, Ron? Is that blood? I mean, so I see this now, you know, more and more and more, because I'm just getting more and more guys coming to me because they trust me, and nothing matters more to me than they're coming to me, you know, and I'm seeing early kidney disease that I'm hoping that we can reverse. There's a couple of guys in the last month that I'm sending to nephrologists. I have the anabolic nephrologist, I'm going to give the name right now, Dr. Andrew Bombach. Don't need to go to me, guys. You don't need, if you have abnormal renal function, a physician or a healthcare provider is said that you things don't look good. You have proteinuria in the urine. You have hematuria, blood in the urine. Your creatinine clearance is off. It's repeated. It doesn't look good. You're worried. Not to mention hypertension and steroid use, family history, genetics. If you have it, just go Andrew Bombach, New York City, after this craziness is over. And I think Dr. Bombach is doing we're all doing telemedicine, because we could start off that way, because we're not surgeons. Most of what we do is history and laboratory analysis. So I'm doing everything but I want to get that out, Ron, because I know we just moved from.
It's okay, but let's get the Bomback.
Bombach. Yeah, Bomback, Bombach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Andy Bombach.
New York
Columbia University. He's the guy that did the 2009 study with Columbia with Dr. Leal Hurlitz, who's a friend of mine. She's Cleveland Clinic. She's the head of renal pathology at Cleveland. I'm showing off the big people here. And she did a study in 2009. I think you had a friend or two that were in it. And they looked at steroid users and kidney disease compared to obese people and a similar kidney disease. It's focal segmental, it's glomerulosclerosis. It's what Flex Wheeler had. And so many men have. African-American men have a setup for it earlier, because it's just part of the genetic makeup, unfortunately. But we see that the anabolic steroid use, the diuretics, the protein excessive, the excessive body, and the hypertension, and the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents. And I know I listed all those. Stop the video, guys, and listen to it. I'm going to do a video on it, because that's the culmination, Ron. That's the science, and it lines up for guys. And some guys I'm seeing in their mid-30s, and they have kidney disease already. And it's like, well, how come Dexter Jackson or one of these guys doesn't? I don't know. I mean, they always ask me the same questions. They'll pinpoint a guy that's in his 40s or 50s that's incredibly gifted and appears to be healthy. I do not know. My answer is he's lucky.
A lot of people love to point out the exceptions to the rule, as if that's proof of that the general theory you're talking about doesn't have any validity.
I'm going to put that in the video, because we're all optimists, right? Most of us, we want to be no. I want to that he can do it. He did it. I want to be like him. And I'm not going to go into, where so many guys comment and say in the emails, look at these bodybuilders in their 50s. They look like AIDS patients. And I'm not going to say who and what. And I mean, they certainly are tiny and small. And I think I did a video on that. I did a video on it's multifactorial. Maybe they're just tired of being big and lugging all the weight around. They just want to be normal people finally. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to name any names either. I want to wrap this up with one aspect to the whole roid rage discussion that sort of irks all the steroid users out there. It's that anytime you're display any type of temper or anger, anything, people will say, "Ha, you're in a roid rage." That guy, look, that's roid rage right there. And I hate to say it, but even that's my like knee jerk reaction inside my head when I see another guy that's on, I know he's on steroids, and if he's acting in an aggressive way or treating somebody badly, yelling at somebody, I go, roid rage, roid rage. Yeah.
Right.
But it's a stereotype, and it's unfair because we're not allowed to get if you're on steroids, you're never allowed to be angry.
Like some other skinny guy snaps on someone, like you're gonna just call that's a freaking asshole.
That's potato chip rage.
It's true, but it's so amazing, But this, Ron, these drugs, they enter the central nervous system. They cause men to feel, I think, quite well. Most of them. That's why they keep doing it. No one's going to do something, Ron, that you feel like shit on, right? So it's a positive feedback. And then the sexual symptoms for men when they're on. I mean, who doesn't like to be hypersexual?
Dude, come on now.
I mean
steroids make you more of a man, put it that way. And I don't mean that like you're a better man, or they just accentuate the secondary male characteristics, muscle mass, muscle size, strength. You're more confident, you're more alpha.
Ron, I have guys, I told you that, Doc, ask me why I take steroids. I had the one guy that probably said it, and I just amplify him for over 10 years. Doc, ask me why, because he was so so irritating. He was small. He's a regular guy, and he was coming. This is when I had the monsters coming in regularly, and I still have, but just my regular guys more now. And he was like, Doc, I'm not big, but I don't bench that much, but I'm on steroids. And asked me because he was very self aware that he was, we want to explain to me that he's not that big. And okay, sir, it's okay. You take steroids. Ask me why, dude. Ask me why I take steroids, doctor. Why do you take steroids? To make more money and have more sex.
Yeah.
And so this is like a trader, in New York City. Now he's in London. He's still a patient. He's in the UK. You go back and forth. I haven't talked to him in a few months. He's probably held up probably either in New York or over in the UK. In London, he's a big financial trader. And he said the stories of walking in New York City where he was on steroids and he was just high as a kite. And he would go into the bathroom and jerk off and punch the wall. No, listen, this is in like One World Trade Center, like in Chase Manhattan Banks, that all the way by Battery Park, guys in New York City. I'm a New York City guy, born and raised initially. So he's up there and he's just looking at all the monitors, and he did math. He was looking, this is a savant guy, mathematic guy, right? And he's like, he did studies on himself where trading on steroids and trading off steroids, he's Doc, I make a lot more money and better decisions when I'm on steroids. And he said, not risky. There's some risk, but if I would risk too much, I would be losing money, right? Yeah. So he said he just made better. And then the sex was outrageous, he said. So who doesn't like that? Make money and have sex. Steroids, brain.
You ever see a movie called American Psycho with Christian Bale?
Of course.
Okay, yeah. There's a scene where he has a friend of his is a trader, and they're in the bathroom at some nightclub, and he's in there doing coke and talking about being on steroids, and that's why he was on them, because he wasn't a big muscular guy. He was he was on the floor on Wall Street trading stocks all day, and that obviously the character felt that gave him a tremendous edge, because they were all young guys in their 20s, and they were all very, very well to do, because they were alphas. They were all alphas.
It just makes men more men. And it's something, but so much ADD guys, and we can go on forever. The ADD guys, so many bright men, successful men, I think they are exclusively are ADD because they inherently have that a bit. And then when they really find something they focus and they love on, they love, and then they take testosterone. It just seems, just countless anecdotes of men just focusing better on testosterone. Now, there's no studies on that. and with the PTSD and all that, which I want to do some studies in the future. We have subgroup analysis with warriors and PTSD and depression. We're doing it, Ron. We're involved with all this stuff. I just have to be careful for any conclusions I make, other than it affects the CNS. Roid rage is not exclusively across the board. If you're predestined to having that kind of short fuse because of your personality disorder or a mood disorder, this hormone can exacerbate that.
Final analogy, PMS. If a woman's being, can I say bitchy? If a woman's being bitchy, 'cause I can't think of the politically correct word. If she's being difficult and irritable and snappy, a lot of guys will say, what are you PMSing right now? They're like,
true, Ron.
as if they have no right to ever feel that way unless it's hormonally charged.
Okay.
A man can be short fused or get angry sometimes. It doesn't have to be from steroids, because obviously plenty of men have rage and they've never seen a steroid in their life.
Big time.
But if you are on a steroid user and people know you use steroids, anything you do that's remotely angry or hostile, they're always going to say, he's having a roid rage. Look at him, that roid head.
So there's a bias. So you know what? Be careful, guys.
Yeah.
Be
Nice.
careful. Be
Yeah.
nice.
Go into a bathroom and punch the stall. Don't do it out in public.
That's right.
Cool, doctor.
And make some money. Have sex.
I know you have a lot of telemedicine appointments lined up today. I thank you so much for being generous with your time for us. Appreciate it. Guys, want to remind you, the book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal. If you haven't read that yet, what are you waiting for? Amazon.com. Also, check out the doctor's website, testosteronology.com, to learn all about this entirely new branch of medicine. Contacts there for the doctor if you'd like to become a patient as well. And check out his YouTube channel, Anabolic Doc. Excellent content on there. Very well organized, annotated with timestamps and all that stuff. They're good. So that's it, man. Appreciate it, Doc.
And thanks, Steve Blackman, Muscular Development.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching Anabolic Doc. Ask the Anabolic Doc. We will see you next time.